Several days ago, I made a video response to several articles written by SJWs, who got extremely upset by a certain anatomical feature of the main heroine of Alita Battle Angel. Now looking back at it, I think I could have done a better job. I left some demonstrably wrong statements unaddressed, and some of my explanations were less than eloquently worded, so to speak. So I decided to give it another shot and redeem myself by releasing this addendum. Let's go through the same articles in the same order and see what I missed the first time. Numero uno is Do Female Cyborgs Dream of Breasts by Manola Dargis. The author of this drivel isn't exactly a master wordsmith. Her article starts really awkwardly and has some questionable phrases such as randomly milling anonymous hordes of whatever. No, I have no idea what it's supposed to mean. When describing Alita's berserker body, Manola mentions
what looks like a discrete chastity panel for the groin.
Frankly, I'm not sure what she means, as I didn't notice anything like that. Probably because I wasn't staring at Alita's crotch area, like some sort of a thirsty degenerate. Besides, something tells me that if her groin was more anatomically correct, then the same NPCs would have thrown an even bigger fit. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Another questionable assertion is
the story proceeds by fits and starts with a narrative line, Alita's journey of self-awareness.
Self-awareness, huh? Are you sure you didn't mean self-discovery, self-actualization, self-realization, or self-fulfillment? Wikipedia defines self-awareness as the capacity for introspection and the ability to recognize oneself as an individual, separate from the environment and other individuals. Alita's capacity for introspection wasn't compromised by her amnesia, and neither was her sense of individuality. Stop using words you don't understand, Manola. The worst part of the article, however, is this one sentence.
Salazar's performance, alas, is consistently bland, but then she was drawn and directed that way.
If I had to come up with the most unfair and the most inaccurate statement about the movie, this is what I'd say. Salazar's performance is by far the most memorable and the most emotionally expressive in the whole film. I'd even go so far as to say that it's one of the best examples of acting I've seen in any movie. Rosa's performance is a huge part of the movie's charm. It is what made people fall in love with the character. This is even more remarkable considering that it is relayed to the viewer via a computer-generated proxy.
Does it bother you that I'm not completely human?
You are the most human person I have ever met.
Hugo wasn't exaggerating here. The fact that Manola decided to attack the strongest part of the movie by painting it as if it was the weakest makes me think she is a shill with an agenda, since this is a typical shill tactic. I decided to see what she had to say about an objectively bad movie, The Last Jedi. And what do you know? She praised it in a disgustingly blatant fluff piece titled Star Wars The Last Jedi Embraces the Magic and Mystery.
The magic and the mystery of potato canvases.
This is the first paragraph in its entirety, but rest assured that it only gets worse from there. The link to the full article will be in the description.
Evil is ascendant. The resistance, an intrepid, multi-everything group, whose leaders include a battle-tested woman warrior, has been fighting the good fight for years, but is outnumbered and occasionally outmaneuvered. Yes, the latest Star Wars installment is here, and lo, it is a satisfying, at times transporting entertainment. Remarkably, it has visual wit and a human touch, no small achievement for a seemingly indestructible machine that revved up 40 years ago and shows no signs of sputtering out ever.
She then proceeds to toss Rian Johnson's salad as if her life depended on it. By the end of the article, his ring piece was polished to a mirror shine. I feel like I need a shower after this. Our next article was Alita has a design problem, but it's not the big eyes, by Molly Freeman. One issue with this article that I initially overlooked was the fact that Molly keeps referring to Alita as android. But is she really an android? This, my friends, depends entirely on how you define android. Normally, this term is used to refer to a robot that resembles a human being. Alita isn't a robot. Even though most of her body is artificial, she has a human brain. A fact that was explicitly stated in the movie multiple times.
When I found you, your very human brain was miraculously intact.
You could argue that Alita has an android body. Both her initial and berserker bodies closely follow human proportions. However, the article never mentions her brain, and also alludes to Alita being programmed to believe something, which makes me suspect that Ms. Freeman wasn't paying attention. Even the fact that Alita is shown undergoing combat training in her flashbacks should have indicated that her mind couldn't be easily programmed like a computer. In my first video, I also forgot to address the last paragraph of the article. Not that it matters, it's just a repeat of the same talking points, as if the author was going for a certain word count and wasn't concerned about adding any substance. Regardless, let's take a look just for kicks.
To imply that Alita would choose a sexualized, ideal female body type over a more practical, less sexualized one isn't just laughable, it goes against everything established about her character. She is a character who is depicted using her body to fight, and isn't ever shown caring much about how it looks. But in the moment of her transformation, all that seems to be thrown out of the window simply so the movie can justify making sure their main female character has a sexy body. It's a disservice, not just to the character of Alita, but to Alita Battle Angel's female viewers.
Just because she uses her body to fight, doesn't mean she doesn't care about how she looks. Besides, the article states multiple times that this new body is impractical, but fails to elaborate. This is called argumentum ad nauseam, and it's a logical fallacy. You know what actually would be impractical? Wearing a cocktail dress while being a vice admiral of the Resistance fleet. Speaking of which, what did our Molly Freeman think of The Last Jedi? Well, would you look at this? Another shameless fluff piece. Let me give you the taste of it.
Johnson has helped usher this latest Star Wars trilogy into new territory that not only brings plenty of fresh ideas to the table, but honors the original movies as well. And the writer-director has done so with such breathtaking visuals and a deft hand that it's not hard to see why Lucasfilm would give him his own Star Wars trilogy. Johnson has not only met what were undeniably high expectations with his installment in one of the biggest movie franchises in history, he's exceeded them. As The Force Awakens proved with its success in 2015, Star Wars is a massively beloved franchise, and The Last Jedi elevates what was already a storied sci-fi fantasy saga, and sets expectations even impossibly higher for Abrams' return to the trilogy with Episode 9.
Alright, that's quite enough of this. Item number 3 on our list was written by Ann Cohen, and was titled either Alita Battle Angel is a man's fantasy of a powerful woman, or The Male Gaze Rules in Alita Battle Angel, depending on whether you look at the header text or the browser title. There was so much wrong with it that I managed to miss that she misspells Zalem as Zolum throughout the article, but I'll let it slide. What I won't let slide, however, is this.
The fact that a man gives this insignificant girl, her words, an identity is your first hint that this might not be the empowering movie it's being marketed as.
It's true that Alita refers to herself as insignificant girl twice. However, the way this is used here is highly misleading. Ms. Cohen mentions it in passing, in a clear attempt to poison the well, stripping this phrase of all context. The first time Alita calls herself insignificant is early in the movie.
And I'm just an insignificant girl.
Yeah, that's what they want you to think.
At this point, she doesn't remember anything about her previous life, so she has no reason to believe that she was special in any way. Everyone is the main character of their own story, but in the grand scheme of things, most of us are utterly insignificant. The second time Alita calls herself insignificant is near the end, when she has rediscovered her identity and learned that she's one of a kind. No longer a wide-eyed, naive girl who felt lost in a big and unfamiliar world. She is now an unstoppable warrior, fearless and determined, who will crush anyone standing in her way. What happens right after that further demonstrates this transformation. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Taking this quote out of context is dishonest to say the least. Next, I want to address a quote I already discussed in the previous video. My retort was less than eloquent, to put it in diplomatic terms. My train of thought pretty much went off the rails, and I started rambling about the hero's journey. This is why you don't write a script when half asleep, boys and girls. So, let's try to redeem ourselves.
But just what Alita wants, besides to be with Hugo and maybe remember what happened to her in her past life, is unclear.
Let's list Alita's desires. She wants to find out about her past, rediscover her identity, and regain her memories. She wants to learn more about the world she found herself in. Even though Iron City is a dilapidated shithole, a little bit less so in the movie compared to the manga, but still, Alita is fascinated by it. When she sees Motorball for the first time, her eyes light up with excitement. She wants to become a player, and eventually does. When she learns about Hunter Warriors, she wants to become one, since they are the ones who help keep crime in check. More generally, she is driven by her sense of justice, and therefore, she wants to do everything she can to make the world a better place. This can be summed up by this quote.
I do not stand by in the presence of evil.
How did you manage to overlook this, Ms. Cohen? This scene and what follows is arguably the best part of the whole movie. If this moment didn't send shivers down your spine, then you are either an emotionless robot or just dead inside. Well, since we checked what the previous two authors thought of The Last Jedi, let's have a look here as well. Kylo Ren's specs prove Star Wars is about women now. Another fluff piece. Are you seeing the pattern yet? Let's check out some select quotes.
The fact that Rey highlights Kylo's lack of a shirt only cements its importance as a marker of the female gaze, our very own Princess Leia in the gold bikini moment.
Oh, what's this? Double standards? Who would have thunk it? Objectification is okay when I do it. Hypocrisy, thy name is N. Cohen.
The Last Jedi is littered with clues indicating this shift. In fact, the film as a whole is basically an indictment of toxic masculinity. From Vice Admiral Holdo's total contempt for Poe Dameron's brash macho heroism to Finn and Rose's time on Canto Bight, a sort of space Monaco that highlights the greed and corruption of those who have made money off this long and arduous conflict by selling arms to both sides. The man's world, established over the course of 7 previous films, has yielded only brutality, disorder, and pain. The Last Jedi seems to suggest that it's time to give someone else a chance to fix it.
So what you are saying is that under female leadership, the resistance is screwed? No fleet, no army, no hope, no future. Jeez, I couldn't be more misogynistic if I tried.
Unfortunately, reality has a way of getting in the way of such progress. The film is receiving negative criticism from certain fans who feel like the franchise is taking on a social mission that doesn't include them. In other words, men feel like they are not in control anymore, and that's scary. Despite a 93% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, the film only has a 55% audience rating.
Sure, let's ignore all women who hated The Last Jedi and assume the gender of all detractors. It's only bad when others do it, right, Anne? Also, given that a 93% positive rating was given to The Last Jedi by hack frauds like yourself, it doesn't mean anything. Alita was panned by critics, but absolutely adored by the regular moviegoers, while dumpster fires such as The Last Jedi were critically praised to high heaven, despite leaving viewers disappointed. Thankfully, people are waking up to this, so hopefully the opinion of professional critics will become irrelevant soon. The sooner, the better. That's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like and pass the video around. See you next time!